What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we are doing the 90th installment of Retro Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing my Aeroclassics 1:400 scale Continental Airlines McDonnell DC-10-10. I know the box says a Series 30, but it's actually a Series 10 just based on the fact that there is no there's no third set of main landing gear on the actual plane, so this is actually a DC-10-10 in this case. This is another one of the several Airliners International 2025 snags that I got, and this one I got off of the Boucher USA table. It was just, they had actually quite a few of them, which I was impressed by because, I mean, this sucker sold out upon release. I think it was this exact release that I remember because I was recording the Aeroclassics November 2024 release video, and it was all gone by the time, not even before I had even finished the video. I was still recording when that thing sold out. So glad that I was able to get one for about, I think it was like $52 or something like that. So around retail, which is excellent, especially for releases become very hard to find now. It was one that I thought about getting too when it was released, but I decided not to just because this was I think, right after my Florida trip. So I didn't want to get any models right away after the trip. So I passed on it and kind of wanted it later, but glad that I found it at the Airliners show in Atlanta. So as always, we'll go ahead and do the box review. Got the Aeroclassics logo, McDonnell DC-10 Series 30 logo, even though this is technically a Series 10. Again, the main difference between the Series 10 and Series 30 DC-10s is the addition of another set of landing gear underneath to accommodate the extra weight. I believe they have an extra fuel tank on the DC-10-30 for a longer range, and also for the increased maximum takeoff weight to accommodate that as well. So there's those changes. Now there's a cutout right there so you can see the model inside. On the bottom, you have the sticker with all the information, barcode, item number, and livery details that show you what aircraft it is, which I always like. I like that idea. There's this side with the aircraft logo and a front profile. And on this side, the old domain. They still need to update this. I don't know why they haven't bothered to update it, but I guess they're kind of lazy. It'd be too much work to update the box art. But I think everybody knows the current domain, aeroclassicsdirect.com, which, you know, is where I would have gotten it, but obviously it sold out when I was still making that video. And then on this side, you've got a side profile of the aircraft. And on the back, a very nice photo of the DC-10 prototype livery, which I believe, yes, Patriot Models made one as like one of their first models that they made. It was just a modified Aeroclassics DC-10 mold. And with that, they added new landing gear and antennas, which obviously Aeroclassics, they lack the latter for various reasons. But there you go. There's the awesome Aeroclassics box for the DC-10. And every time I see a Continental DC-10, I think of the late, great Vin Scully in one of the commercials for Continental's DC-10. He always said it in a very, just, I don't know if unique's like the right term, but he said it in a way that's just very memorable to me. So I'll play that clip real quick.
Here's another kind of a seat from a wide-bodied Continental Airlines DC-10.
So yeah, Vin Scully, if you don't know him, he was an awesome play-by-play guy for the Los Angeles Dodgers of baseball, which he does make a reference to in that same commercial. And he called games up until around 2016. Unfortunately passed away just a couple years ago, but one of the all-time greats in sports broadcasting. So he's definitely one of my favorites whenever I watch like old sports highlights and all that fun stuff. But one day I will certainly get a meatball livery DC-10 because those are more iconic than this globe livery, though I think the globe livery suits well on the DC-10. Certainly a great addition to anyone's collection. So let's go ahead and begin with the review. Starting off at the front, you have the plain nose cone, cockpit windows. There's the very slightly skinny L1 door there, a couple panel details underneath. Move into the very lovely Continental titles for this globe livery. There's the L2 door, which I believe they would board passengers through that door rather than this one. This one's a little bit skinny, but they probably use both. And then there's the engines on this DC-10, which I don't have that exactly memorized as to what engines this had, so I'll just check that real quick. November 68044. And this specific DC-10, it had the CF6-6K engine, so powered by General Electric engines. There you go. And there's the overwing exit door L3 right there. And then on the back, you see the American flag and the registration November 68044. Another panel detail there, looks like a luggage door. L4 door, and then there's the Continental tail, which does not fit into the frame with the current zoom that I have. So slowly but surely zoom that out, and there you see the lovely globe tail, which is just painted on that top section. The bottom section is left white, which most other airlines did that as well with the DC-10 when they painted some aircraft into their newer liveries. They did that, and I think even some older ones too. Right side of the aircraft, not too much to report on here, but immense detailing right there. Look at all those details. I think that's the most I've seen on an Aeroclassics model. That's actually crazy. But there you go. There's those details, and then all the way to the back, engine there and tail there. All the good stuff. And again, these wheels, you have to be careful. If you roll them more than 6 inches, they're going to fall off, but it looks like they're okay. Underneath, there's a stand hole right there, and other door panel details. And on the top of the aircraft, all the wing details that you can ask for. Very awesome model from Aeroclassics, and I'm happy that I found one at Airliners. I wasn't expecting to find one of these, but I was actually surprised there were quite a few left at least the Bushare table anyway. I don't think Squatchy's had any left. I think he sold out of his stock rather quickly as well. But I know with Squatchy, I did get the United DC-10 Friendship livery, which I will be doing an episode on that here in the next few weeks, so be on the lookout for that. Next week, we'll move away from the Airliners 2025 models again. I'll take a look at a couple other retro models that I've had sitting around for a while that I have not yet done a retro review on, so stay tuned for that. So now, we'll go ahead and take a look at the real-life aircraft's history. It first flew on May 15th of 1972, and then it was delivered to Continental the next month. She stayed with Maine Continental for a number of years, but there was a period in the 1990s where she flew for Continental Micronesia, which was way out in the Pacific Ocean in that kind of area. So she flew out there for a few years between June of 1994 and March of 98. She went back to Maine Continental for a couple more years until they retired the type right around the turn of the millennium. Then she flew for freighter operators for the rest of her career, first with Emery Worldwide at the turn of the millennium. Then she went to Cilos del Peru in May of 2005, though she kept the American registration. Then it was Centurion Air Cargo that took her in December of 2006, and her last operator was Tab Cargo in Bolivia, July of 2007, registered as Charlie Papa-2489. Last status that I could find of her was that she was stored in 2014 at the, I'm probably going to pronounce the airport name, so I apologize, the Cochabamba Jorge Wilstermann Airport in Cochabamba, Bolivia. And based on satellite imagery, I did find a DC-10 that has been stored. So I'm guessing that's the same one, and it's still there in imagery up to 2025. So I presume that she is still sitting there, stored, not flying, and probably not going to fly again. But if anybody has a photo that they can find that's from, the 2020s of this aircraft, please drop a link in the comments, and I'd be happy to check it out, because I always like to figure out if these aircraft, if they're still around, even if it's just stored and just sitting there not doing anything. So that'll do it for this episode of Retro Reviews. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.